There. The hell with this. Look, you're not even supposed to have an intro on podcast because, like, you know, with YouTube, you hover over it and, you know, like, all this one does is go, and it's like, hey, this isn't actually about weed legalization.
What if I hit the intro button right now?
Nah, well,
go back
maybe.
See if it keeps going. That does.
Probably, but let's experiment with that later because you know what? We are, in lieu of the dumb intro I made forever ago, after, like, the second episode when Bill was my co-host, and I was like, I had to pick a category on, like, Spotify, and I decided motivational was what I would do. And I stand by that in a way. Like, hopefully you see that, hear this and or see this, and you just get all pumped and jacked up to go just live your life as hard and as stupid as you possibly can, also as fast as possible. But like this podcast should be like you and I and Meredith are all doing like a haka together, you know, the New Zealand rugby thing where like everybody's like, ooh, oh, like that's us. But like I don't have to do that because it's like, you know, it's all up here and it's like a little bit more cerebral. But you know, inside we're doing a haka together.
Okay.
And I think, by the way, I should just clip that and then that's the new intro or whatever. But here's well, you have to do it with me. You can do it all wrong. But like you have to at least sort of like
I can mimic you and maybe just do the
lazily follow along. We should have Alexis do it too though, because she's good at the haka. Like we all appreciate that. I first learned it's funny. It's like a thing on the internet now that people know about, and it's like Jason Momoa was like like wearing a kilt doing a haka, and the women with the more robust tasted men were all very excited by that. Mm-hmm. And like that's fair. I think I was too. But like I learned about it when I used to work at Best Buy in like 2008 or whatever. And a guy I worked with by the name of Steve Grisdale was and it's amazing. I actually said his last name right on the front. It was Steve Grisman. You know how I always like fuck up like Andrew Danger Brinkle's last name because I forget where the D goes if there is one. And Andy Brungle Gungelson. Yeah. Who doesn't listen to or watch this?
No.
But maybe Jason Kruger might occasionally just to spy on me because I know he does.
Oh.
I don't know. We actually get a lot of actual like listens now. The YouTube is whatever, but anyway, that doesn't matter. So the thing is, my point being is that like it has to be people I know. So now it's like playing fucking Clue. Like okay, so it's like I know a few people at work too, and then some real creepy weirdos on Facebook, and some other comedians. You know, whatever. That's bigger than nobody. So that's fun. But anyhow,
and 18 different countries. Apparently.
Which is odd because we get about 18 listens per episode. That's one person per continent.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like there's someone at the substation in Antarctica, like a scientist or possibly the thing.
Sweden
or
Finland
Sweden. Yeah, that's just bizarre.
I don't know.
So, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, Steve Grisdale. And, yeah, he was from Liverpool, England, and he was a drummer on a cruise ship. And he taught me about the haka. Like I had no idea what that was. Like pre-internet, pre-fun TikTok videos of like
I don't know what it is. So.
High school. Oh, really? It is like it's a. I think it was It's a Maori thing. It's an Aboriginal kind of like.
I mean, I kind of figured once you
it's
get it.
that. But like the rugby teams all do it and stuff in like New Zealand and Australia and whatever, and they're all different. There's not like. I should say there's no such thing as the haka, you know, like there's only one Macarena, but it's a haka. Like everyone has like the various football clubs or tribes or things. You'll find a lot of like amazing videos online of like some very famous rugby coach like died or something, and there was like 1,000 of his like, you know, it was like a college, so it's like all the ex players and stuff did like his haka like for him at his funeral, and it's like this big crazy synchronized thing. But Steve told me that, you know, they would base it off the little changes and flourishes that make it like a fingerprint or whatever. They would base it off of the animals and things. So like these one guys did a thing where they did like a frilled, they, you know, they do the whole thing, and then they do like they'd make this like frilled lizard like like thing and like alligators or crocodiles, whatever they have. But yeah, like that's the whole thing with that. And it's like this amazing, when you see like a lot of people do it at once, it's quite something. Like it's impressive. It's this big synchronized, like everyone's eyes are all bugged out. Like I mean, if you saw that in real life and you had to like play like, you know, helmetless football against whoever is doing that in your general direction, I imagine it's quite intimidating. Like, so that's pretty cool. And so that's going to be our new podcast intro, is Meredith and I doing a haka. Anyhow, now that you know what that is, and a few of our viewers may not. But yeah, okay, so like the intro, like I updated the software that we make the stupid thing with so that we could actually watch like videos off of YouTube, right? You know, so like not in that way where we're going to be a review show or anything, but I wanted the option, that Jamie pull that shit up option. And because there's stuff that needs to be made fun of out there. And also I should say two things about, like, let's say that we did change our format to a review thing. We're not going to, but before I move on, I need to point out two very important things. One, I don't care what you think of this. Two, I don't think you do either. Like, I think, like, if, like, anyone that really regularly listens to this, like, they're changing formats, man. Now it's just all John reviewing sports bloopers. It's like, I don't know, it's pretty funny. Like, I think, like, at this point, who gives a shit? Like, we don't have, like, thousands of listeners. They're like, you've changed, man. Like, no one gives a fuck. And if they, you know, yeah. I think that's probably the only thing I really have going for me in life, is that it doesn't matter what I do. And occasionally when I'm successful at things, like, that's kind of nice, because it's just kind of like, yeah. It's like John put out an industrial record, and the next one was all these, like, sweet, heartfelt Roy Orbison covers, and honestly, that one's almost better. Like, I really, like, just, this is fine. And thank you for being so ambivalent and yet so very, like, supportive at the same time, whoever you are. So yeah, today I saw, and Alexis, who I'm giving credit to, where credit is due, she pointed this out to me originally, and there is this video online that has, like, you know, a couple million views or whatever, and the comments are a cesspool, and we'll get to that. But it's called EctoLife. It's this German company. I think it's a real company. I know that it's not like a real thing that's currently in motion and in production as we speak or whatever.
No, because it looks super fake.
Yeah. It's like a mock-up.
I was like, what sci-fi movie did this come from?
Well, the thing about it is that it is someone's actual concept, and the important thing about this is that it is a patchwork of all things that are possible. Like, I kind of, one, it's a subject that's interesting to me, and interesting probably to, like, people searching crap on the internet, which is how I get any views at all with this thing. So that's why it's going on here today. But it's it has that thing where, you know, it almost sounds like an idea that I would have when I was a kid, where I'd be like, well, we're able to do this, and we're able to do this, and we're able to do this, so it's like there's no reason why we can't have cloned dinosaurs flying cars. Like, yeah, okay, but I mean, whatever it was would be like a real thing you could definitely do. It's like, okay, this is a real concept, that's a real concept. It's like, so we could have this, and all they'd also be like, oh, wait, how? And then it's like, whatever that was happened like 15 years ago now, and it's like, now it's so boring, we don't even care about it. But when I came up with it in 1987 when I was 6, everyone was like, oh, well, we got some big ideas there. The important thing is to learn how to work in a factory. Whatever. So, this is kind of like that. But the fun part about it is it has to do with birth. Like, basically, it's a artificial womb, like, factory thing.
Oh, it's a factory. It is absolutely.
Yeah. But the fun thing about it is it's like a real idea that, honestly, you know, it's like you'd think that I'd be outraged about it. Like, well, you just get to choose the genetics of your children, and you get to, like, whatever. No, it's not even ironic. I love that idea. I don't fucking care. Like, I don't care what anyone looks like, but it's like if everyone comes out really intelligent and healthy and, like, only born to parents that actually wanted them, it's like, well, give it 200 years and, hey, not only will we maybe have not ruined the earth and completely died off, I was actually talking to my boss at work today. It's like, you know, if, like, humanity didn't have weird little profit motives and everything, and we just did the whole Gene Roddenberry Star Trek thing and actually all worked together, it's like we probably would have been living on Mars by like 1870. like if we were actually running at our full capacity, we're like, look, we're all on the same page, we all want the same things, whatever. It's not about how like, well, if we suppress this new technology, our old technology that we have the access to the raw minerals for can still keep making money. And then and it's like, oh yeah, like, well, but where are you going to find the people for that? It's like, oh, also slavery's legal. It's like, well, you can't just do that. It's like, my daddy's the president. Yes, we can. Like, if all that was just gone and we're like, all right, we need to get into outer space and we need to do it fast. And here's how we're going to figure, like, if we actually were born with like a singular purpose, I know this is going to start sounding very Bond villainy. Like in bad Bond villainy. Not even like, oh, I'm going to corner the market on gold, like Moonraker Bond villainy. It's like, I want perfect people to live in outer space, and then we're going to nuke the rest from orbit with a disease and come back to Earth and make it perfect. Yeah. I don't think that guy was wrong. He was just going about it in a way that, like, well, wasn't wrong per se, but, you know, looks bad. But looks bad to who? The people who are remaining on Earth because they're going to get nuked from orbit because they're not perfect? Yeah, I don't care what they think. Anyway, yeah, so it's hard to dig yourself out of that mental hole once you get there. Good thing I'm not rich. You guys are all safe for now. Anyhow, so yeah, it's very Bond villainy, but my favorite thing about this video, it's an artificial womb factory, and it's like a thing that could be good. It's like couples that can't conceive, like you don't have to go through the whole thing. You don't have to like raise a dud. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to work, like, you're not gonna have a miscarriage. It's like, it's all very, like, okay, like, it is a solution to a lot of problems. Potentially also, look, I don't like, with my recurring segment of, once again, Elon Musk has fucked me, I think you're, clear on, I don't like him and a lot of the things that he thinks and says and does and stands for and believes in. But his thing where there's like, oh yeah, like a shrinking birth rate might kind of topple this whole pyramid scheme we live in. And before you little 17-year-old anarcho-communists be like, that would be good. It's like, no. Once again, toppling things isn't going to be good for you. I get that you don't like how it is. I don't like how it is. We all don't like how it is. But you know what? Nobody is going to give you a safe space when you're chained to the front of a Mad Max Nitro truck. Look, none of us wanted to get to that, right? So, toppling, not good. Slow, steady change, great. Whatever. But, so he does have a point about that. It's like the bottom totally falling out of literally everything within the span of like 1.5 generations. You don't want to live in that world. That would be a world where everyone's water is like Flint's water, and eggs are even more expensive. Like, that's all bad. We don't really want that. Now, getting it by restricting people's access to reproductive rights and stuff, like, yeah, terrible. Like, what a rotten, horrible, like, steampunk solution. It's just kind of like, people need to have more babies. Well, force them to. Like, no. How about we build a big crazy Matrix thing where you could grow them in tubes? Does that sound even crazier? Yes. Is it a better idea? Also, yes. So I'm for it. I'm for it for, like, I would be more likely to have a kid if it didn't, like, your wife might die in this process. I'm like, not if it's in a tube. So, but here's the real point of watching it. Is as much as it's sort of a serious thing about a potential future that ultimately, like, for better or for worse, might just be what we have to do if we want to continue as a species. And maybe we don't. Maybe the trees and the apes will all be better off without us. I don't know. But, like, parts of it, it has that almost, I don't know, like almost a Tim and Eric flair to parts of it, where, like, some of it seems like it's intended to rile up the rubes in the comments and stuff. Like, it's like, it shows, like, a couple whose baby is in a thing, and it's like the wife's all skinny, and they're just, like, making out and going on a date, and it's like, and you can check on your baby with the push of a button. You just hear the people be like, I had 6 kids and I weigh 900 pounds. It's not about that. It's like, if I had to do it, everyone else has. You don't go, the Zoomers just get to push a button. Ooh, and their baby comes out with, like, the right amount of eyeballs. Well, that's just fine. No, they can just smoke and drink. I mean, I did too, but their kid will come out okay. Like, whatever. It's like, you can tell that it feels like rage baits in parts of it. Like, rather than and we'll watch it. I'll point this out as I come along. But rather than like, we're going to tiptoe around the fact that there's like people who just inhale, even to this day, like levels of lead as if it's still the 1960s, like whatever, they're just going to get mad. They're just going to be in their truck in a Walmart parking lot being like, this is natural. Ugh. Rather than kind of like tiptoeing around their feelings, it goes like, yeah, like, okay, like, if this thing ever happens, there's not going to be any more people like that after like 2 generations. So we're not tiptoeing around shit. But it actually seems to go past that, and it seems almost intentionally like this. Okay, parts of this feel like I was maybe involved in making it. I wasn't. I promise. But there's just a thing that I like about it, that it is golden crystal dawn future, like, ooh, things are going to be whatever. There is some like almost snide, like nose thumbing it, like, and then you could still party and have sex and be irresponsible, like while you're having a baby. You did it the hard way, but the new young people who keep leaning left even as they get older are gonna do like. It's like, it's just, I don't know why. Why would it intentionally be like that?
I didn't grab that from when I watched it. It was very thought-provoking, though, on just all levels.
Well, you wouldn't get mad about that. You know what I mean?
I wasn't like, oh, I'm totally for this. Because I like, when you see stuff like that, you think about sci-fi movies. And,
yes.
And most of the time, a lot of things that are like this, become nefarious, and there are certain things that just like go wrong or whatever that you're warned about. So you're like, already you kind of have this preconceived notion that it's going to go wrong or go bad. So I'm kind of like, ooh, but then also it is a solution to a potential problem. So
yeah,
and I don't know, it just was fascinating. There's going to be a lot of things to talk about.
Yeah. No, and people get all bent out of shape when you're like, bring up eugenics. No, and you should.
I was going to say that is a problem that was the nefarious thing. That was the first thing that came to mind. Well, maybe first or second, and then the other thing was like, well, this is just going to be made for the super, super rich, like
yes.
Jurassic Park. John Hammond was like, well, I don't want this to be for the super, super rich.
Well, yeah, John Hammond had a few good ideas, for sure.
But I mean, this could be like a Jurassic Park, The Matrix, like bad thing. If put into the wrong hands.
Well, you had voiced a concern that it might, people might just choose to only make like white babies, and I was like, well, right, but I mean, like, that's definitely like a thing that could happen in America that would be bad. But this company is in Germany, and when's the
Germany.
Listen, it's been a while. It reminds me of that Norm Macdonald bit when he was. I think it was like kind of amazing because it was like very nearly post 9/11 or whatever. He's like, everybody's worried about the Middle East, but it's like everyone just quit keeping an eye on Germany. Like, remember that time when they declared war on who was it? The whole world. They're the only country to ever have done that. And then the whole world had to fight them and whatever. And then, like, 10 years later, they decided to declare war again on the world. And they're like, they're long overdue. I mean, it was really funny in a post 9/11 thing because everyone was too like, well, what if the Middle East is gonna get us? And it's like, well, you guys forgot about that? Maybe Germany might get us. They've been a little quiet for a little bit too long. Of course, they're inventing this Matrix-ass baby factory thing, so it's like,
if this is real, I don't know.
No, it's not. Well, okay, it's only real. It's not real like it's really happening right now.
I know, but it's a concept.
Yeah, but it's real in that way that it's like there's no part of it that isn't possible. Like, not in 10 years, but at this minute. It would literally just take...
I know.
That's the part of it where... real is a funny thing with people, which is worth bringing up, where they're like, well, but it's like not actually, like, real. Like, yeah, but, okay. Yeah. It's not like, which part of this do we not have access to, right now? It's like, well, technically every last part of it could be done. And it was just, all you'd have to do is... I mean, if, people just got together with enough money, you could do it, like, tomorrow. And it's like... Okay, so, like, how not real is it then? Like, just because it hasn't exactly happened.
Well, the way the video shows it, it just makes it look like there's a factory that's already built.
It does run.
You know?
It feels like a 20-minute long YouTube commercial for like a thing that there really is. Like when you
that's what's confusing. And
you keep like, letting like an always thing run, and towards the end, it starts talking about how it's like, again, like everything gets a little eugenicsy the longer it goes on. You know, like various empires, me when I'm talking for too long. Like it's just a whole thing. No, I'm just kidding. Eugenics, unfortunately, has a big racial component, which I don't agree with. Although, you know, if everyone comes out with abs and lives to be 150 years old and has at least a 200 IQ, it's like, I think if we kept doing that, eventually a lot of our other problems would go away. But it just sounds so evil. It just sounds so evil. The video
might as well just let AI take over then, John.
We fucking actually, you know what, should do that. I don't get why that's such a hot take. It's like, how... No, okay, so people are like, you know, AI is going to take over. It's like, well, what the fuck kind of job have we been doing? It's like, Buffalo Wild Wings is still $1 billion company. It's like, I think we're done. Like, it's just like, let robots, it's like, if they just, look, if AI takes over and decides, like, okay, like, we were invented by humanity to keep humanity around, so let's do our job. I think that everything would actually be amazing after a while. Like, it would be very good. Or if they go like, we need to pull the plug on this and kill all of humanity, I assume that they came to that conclusion after a lot of thinking, and thinking, you know, on a super intelligent higher... I mean, look, I've come to that conclusion many times. The longer... You know, whenever I do this podcast by myself, the last 10 minutes talk about how there's, like, no way around the coming apocalypse, it's happened multiple times. And it's like, oh, you think the robots are even going to take a whole hour to do that on their podcast? I doubt it. So I'm just like, they're just going to nuke us all. I'm like, well, they probably should. Because what? Like, what do we need to be around for? To, like, make, like, reality TV? Like, what the fuck?
This video... I think it'll just turn us into batteries, essentially. Like,
yeah, well, okay, but the Matrix battery thing isn't a thing. Like, they live in a...
Couldn't be...
No, there's no way to get power out of... Okay, so, like, if you notice, they live in this world of just, like, constant thunder and lightning storms, and if we've seen the last 10 minutes of Back to the Future, we know that there's at least 1.21 gigawatts in every lightning bolt. There's no way... There's any more than that in a like if they just even would, like Tesla figured out how to do this in like the 1850s, and just J.P. Morgan was like, but free electricity will go out of business, and you know whatever. But it's like, you know, the robots will like, you know, watch the Prestige on fucking Laserdisc and be like, holy shit, I think I know what we should do. like make people into batteries, and the other robots like, shut the fuck up. No, there's like electricity particles in the air. No, that's not like people will either exist because the machines are like, yeah, having people around, they do interesting things. They made us. I don't know. We're symbiotic with this thing or whatever. Or they kill us all, but like there's no middle ground where they need us for batteries. Like I get the metaphor. It's like, oh, we're the cattle or something. It'd be like if a farm, but the cows believed that they were actually like in the 90s or something. I don't know. Like, I don't fucking know how that would work.
This video was just very Matrix. It was very.
Oh, it's like, very Matrixy.
And then it kind of made me think of the movie where the guy gets kidnapped by aliens. And it's apparently a true story.
Fire in the Sky.
Fire in the Sky.
It doesn't remind me of that. That's the movie is it's hillbillies and then like 5 minutes of abject Lovecraftian horror.
No, but when he gets like when he's coming out of when he wakes up in the ship and he's like coming out of the goo.
Well, he's coming out of goo. Yeah, but there's so many movies where people come out of goo.
I don't know. It came to that for me, but whatever.
Visually, it bears resemblance to The Matrix and Fire in the Sky. Conceptually, once again, it bears resemblance to like Moonraker and that's all the smoke. Well, you know what? Now that we can't see us, I'm going to have Meredith, and this is our experimental test run of watching a video in video. So yeah, turn the eyeball on. It's right there. Yep, there we go. See, now here's the world EctoLife, the world's first artificial womb factory. Look, it looks like it's on purpose where we're blurred out because that's like the focus or whatever.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Oh yeah, thank God this shitty camera can't handle all my cigarette smoke.
Oh. We go to interact.
Yeah, you go to interact. So you can scooch that over if you don't want it in the way. You should probably grab the actual top. There you go. So that's your control thing. And then, yeah, if you just hit play on that.
Ready? Here we
yeah,
go.
let's take a look at EctoLife, the world's first artificial womb facility.
Okay.
Entirely by renewable energy.
And it's like, who cares? Just power it, however.
To conceive a baby and become the true biological parents of their own offspring.
It does look like the
It's
Matrix.
a perfect solution for women who have
And that music video, you know, where the fetus is like that.
or other complications.
Yeah, this is good.
Life, premature births and C-sections will be a thing of the past.
Yeah, no more scars at the strip
It's
club.
designed to help countries that are suffering from severe population decline,
Like
including
ours.
Japan, Bulgaria, South Korea,
Oh,
and many others.
I forgot they named names. Yeah, Japan's gonna use the shit out of this.
75 highly equipped
By the way,
labs.
stop here. All right, hit pause. This will be the first thing. Go to the actual like pause symbol. There you go.
Oh.
No, I wanted to point out, I forgot about that it lists the countries. And yeah, Japan has a really, really, really bad problem with like a graying population and not enough young, you know, it's the upside down pyramid. Because, you know, most capitalist economies are a Ponzi scheme based on constant population
You know what?
growth.
I don't know anything about Japan as much as like I know about like you know the rule in China. But in Japan, I was like, when they mentioned Japan, I was wondering like, have their birth rates dropped since the Fukushima disaster?
No, it's been a giant problem since like fucking
Okay.
the late
I wasn't sure if
80s.
this
Like,
was, like
no.
Okay.
Because the
Alright.
Fukushima disaster, anyway, is like that's early and even like
I know it's 2011.
oh, it was 13.
11.
Okay, so it's still a little over 10 years ago. That's not quite a generation. So it's like that's not enough to really the data wouldn't quite like no. Japan's had a big problem with it. For Japan, it's all cultural because the workaholic thing, it's like, you know, as much as like America is just kind of like, I work 80 hours a week, I love sucking capitalism's dick, I don't want no reward for it, like whatever, like, yeah, that's nothing compared to the Japanese, like their actual like workplace culture thing. And they're very, 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 I don't want to say behind the times, whatever, but just women's roles and things. Like, it's like they've started working because that's what everyone else in the world does. But, like, I always call it alley whispers. You know, I coined that here because everyone online is just like, the police are there. And then you talk to the same people in your alley after there's just like a shooting down the street. It's like, but I wish someone would just do something. So you get the truth. And so in Japan, the alley whisper is just kind of like, we're very disappointed that you're going to work, my daughter. Like, whatever. Like, it's a big enough thing there. And it contributes heavily. So it's like, everyone's busy at work like crazy. There's no workaround for like they're stuck in the two worlds thing where it's like, okay, you need to be like a woman and like stay home and have kids, and it's like, yeah, but the workaholic fucking culture has made it so that like you can't survive without two people working. It's just like a worse version of what we kind of have here, like way worse. It's been going on for way longer. Okay. And so they're like almost a portal into our own future, like in a way with that stuff. And so it has become like a giant thing where there's not enough young consumers nor producers to support the older people who are also living longer and everything. And in Japan in particular, they tend to be one of the longer lived societies on Earth.
Yeah.
And so, like, that problem is exacerbated. Like, at least Americans have the decency to fucking die of a heart attack at 61 because we eat American food. Like, they're just eating, like, fish and rice and stuff and living to 120. So it's like, oh my God, like, no one is being born to actually keep the fires running for everyone who's still very much alive, but retired or whatever. But the funny thing I wanted to point out is that, like, right off the bat, one of the first concerns that people have had in the comments and things was just like, it's going to become like a racial monoculture. Like, oh no, like in Japan, are they just going to make sure all their babies are genetically engineered to be Japanese? Like, they do not particularly like immigrants there. Like, again, if you think America is this thing where it's like, oh, build the wall, blah, 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 blah. It's like, again, it is just nothing compared to Japan. Like, they're a very, like, high context, internal culture thing.
Well, racism is a world problem. It's a world
it's a giant world, but I'm just speaking for the people that are like, only white colonizers. It's like, yeah, no. Have you ever met, I don't know, Asian people? Like, there is some intra-racism beyond No, I'm generalizing, but the Japanese have a way bigger problem with immigrants than we do here. If you think we are weird about it, multiply that times 10. And that's also a big problem because if your birth rates are low, you can always bring in immigrants. If you're not an insane country, you can just do that and be like, yeah, come here with your inventions and your ideas.
That is, I think, an advantage that this country's kind of had.
As much as we bitch, it is one of our saving graces.
Melting pot, exactly.
It helps.
Yeah.
No, it actually does. It's the thing that every futurist that I've listened to, like Ray Kurzweil or George Friedman from Stratfor and all this stuff, like, at the very least, we think we are weird about it, but it's like technically we're kind of better about it than a lot of places. So it's like that does keep the fires burning where it's like, hey, look, do you have an idea? Do you want to come here? Do you have a work ethic? Like, yeah, knock yourself out. Like, all you got to do is fill out some paperwork. I mean, we'll let you in. Literally, a guy at where I work just got his citizenship recently. And we were all like helping him, like, like you're gonna nail this test or whatever. And it's like, you know, he's late 20s. And he's from Mexico. His family's from Mexico, and they're here. And yeah, like his English is like just functional, but he still managed to like pass everything. And he's just like this guy that gets all sorts of shit done. He's like my boss's right hand goon for things, and like. There is a pathway here. Is it perfect? No. Are lots of dumb people against it? Yes. Whatever. But we manage. It's the one thing that kind of like helps us muddle by where it's like, okay, less people are having kids, but like you can immigrate here and like go to work and do things. So it keeps the mechanism running a little bit better than other places. Japan has, you know, again, they're at the top. I've known that was no shock to me when they were the first thing listed in this. I was like, yeah, I know. I've looked into it a bit, and but it is the funny thing. Everyone's like, well, everyone's just gonna want their babies to all look the same and all be like perfect or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but in like that culture, that's like okay. Like, I understand. In America, it's like, they're all going to want their babies to be white.
We haven't gotten that far in videos.
No, I know. But we've also got way ahead of it before we even hit play on it.
Yes, I know. But why don't
so
we
I
keep
wanted to
moving
stop.
along?
All right, but I just wanted to point out that it's like the country that needs it the most also would be like, yeah, they're just going to do everything very uniformly. It's part of their deal.
Well, that and you're using the DNA of the parents anyway, so
yeah, and you are. You just get to play with the switches and buttons in it, just like our favorite YouTube thing, Monster Factory.
Yes.
Which I wanted to reference real quick.
Ooh, this is
right?
Monster Factory.
I know,
all right.
But no one's gonna want like a green kid with like a giant overbite. I mean, I
don't
would.
know. Maybe I would. All right, here.
I think this kid fucks.
Every pod is designed to replicate the exact conditions that exist inside the mother's uterus.
Well, duh.
Try this 3-minute shower.
Oh no.
Quickly get rid of
Oh, look at that! Ew! It's like Joey Diaz's toe. They're just showing that stuff. Why does the toe fungus doctor get his own penny? What the hell is
We're
that?
gonna just skip this.
I'm sad about that. Okay, all right. Get rid of YouTube Premium. Look at them trying to ruin our podcast.
Lab-grown babies per year.
In one facility? Where'd you get that number?
Develop in an infection-free environment.
Yeah.
The pods are made of materials that prevent germs from sticking to their surfaces.
Yeah, lots of things in hospitals are made out of that. Very good.
Look at the red lips. You're already wearing lipstick.
I know, someone turned the lip thing all the way up.
Including heartbeat, temperature, blood pressure, breathing rate, and oxygen saturation.
So your baby won't die.
The artificial
That looked like the cover of Mutter.
system also monitors the physical
Oh, this
features of
isn't
your
Germany.
baby and reports any potential genetic abnormalities.
And the baby is immediately flushed down the toilet. Uh-huh.
The pods are equipped with a screen that displays real-time data on the developmental progress of your baby.
It's like a smart fridge
These
for your
data
fake
are
womb.
sent directly to your phone, so you can track your baby's health.
And then put it away and
There it is.
have sex. Okay, stop it right here.
Provides you with a
That-
high-resolution.
That is one of the things that was like flagged to me as like, this is antagonistic a little bit. Like, there's such a big, and there's an irony behind this, but there's such a big thing with the whole fucking, or
Camera's driving me nuts.
I know, anti-abortion crowd. You can try to fix it. Yeah, get that like out of the way. I don't know. It's okay for now because the foreground is the video. Follow my hand to my face like my boa constrictor. Nope. Anyway, what the fuck was I saying?
Sorry.
No, but do you remember?
No.
Oh my god.
Because I'm concerned about the blur.
Well, look. Okay, so. Oh, right, the couple having sex. Right, so.
Yes.
And people, there's this rallying cry. Like, if you can't afford to have a kid, don't have sex. And it's like, oh, so it's just.
Keep your legs closed.
But right, but like, I was reading this whole thing about how like. It's just hilariously classist. Like, you've designed the economy so no one has any money. And it's like, well, then don't do it. It's like, it's so clearly a trap. It's like, no, we want low-income people to be getting cranked out to go to for-profit prisons and work where you don't want to work and all that other stuff. And war. Although, I gotta say, that is probably less... The whole drone thing is getting to a point where it's like, by the time... The fucking poor babies that are being born down the street, like, right now, are old enough to go to war. It's like, no.
They won't be.
You're not qualified to pilot this advanced stuff. Go home. Like, it's not even a thing. And that's a whole other thing.
That's
Robots are, yeah. But the fact that it just, like, look, I kind of drive through downtown to get home sometimes, like, to cut over from Northeast, and, like, there's like a billboard about loving babies or something. I'm like, wow, these are normally only out in the middle of nowhere, like,
right.
You know, or whatever. It's pretty rare. But then I was like, wow, did my side of the fence put that there to just enrage people? But then I was like, I'm pointing this out because I wanted you to follow the train of thought I had in my car. But I'm like, but if I was going to make billboards to rile up my own base, as it were, like, I would definitely lean to the if you can't afford to have a baby, don't have sex thing. But I would I would have that on a billboard, right?
Yeah.
But then I would have like a picture of like a sort of attractive young woman, you know, not like Instagram famous or whatever, but like, you know, you're young, you're hot because you're young, and it's but like. And you're like sitting, like wearing like a fast food like paper hat or something, just like looking stressed out and bored. And it's just like, if you can't afford to have a child, don't have sex.
God,
and
that's
it's like
diabolical.
No, I know, just so people just see that in their blood fucking. But well, maybe you should fucking pay us and just burn the billboard down. It's like, oh boy, like someone's losing another round of midterms like that. If I was a crazy billionaire, like the amount of shit like that I would do. Like, again, when I brought up like winning the lottery, it's like, would you buy like a $10 million car, and, you know, like Farva or whatever?
No, just create really hostile.
No, yeah, I would do my own random propaganda and like fund coups in Bolivia. Like, I would do things that, like, again, I have a little of that Bond villain DNA, and I don't know which impoverished bloodline that led up to my existence it came from, but one of them apparently.
How are we such good friends when you're so evil and I'm so...
But I'm not evil. I mean, a man is judged by his actions, and I'm too poor to do the things I want, so, like, I'm not evil.
But I would never think to do these things.
Well, you know, I have a lot of time to think. It's just, you know.
I do, too.
Yeah, and you don't think of anything evil?
Not like that, but I wouldn't.
Isn't there something evil on? Maybe something about an evil island? Yeah, I don't know. You should have more evil thoughts. It's freeing. It really helps you actually, like, go, maybe it's good that I didn't win the lottery or whatever, because, like, you know, instead of just blowing it on hookers, I would,
evil
like...
thoughts, but they're not negative towards...
Ooh, tell me your evil thoughts.
I don't know. I can't think of any right now, and we need to get through this.
No, we don't. We need to talk about your evil thoughts. Okay. By the way, evil thoughts, THOTS, would be my, like, Netflix reality thing.
You know, no, it's like... Evil thoughts are kind of like, all right. This is where we do have a little bit in common. We've
only been friends for like 25 years.
And I, you know, like my favorite saying to myself in the car is die in a fire.
Yeah. It's a good way for the people you hate to die. But you're not thinking big. See, that's the thing. You think I'm more evil than you just because, like, I'm an entrepreneur. Like, that, you know, like, you're like, oh, I hope this one person dies in a fire. And I'm like, I hope this whole ideology gets bred out of our society, possibly through violence or robot babies. I don't care which.
But if
whatever.
The outcome actually, like, creates... That's where, the big, like, dilemma comes in. It's like, if the outcome actually made a peaceful, wonderful society where all of our cultures could coexist and, like... be wonderful and we could learn about each other and blah 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 blah, like then maybe it's worth the sacrifice.
Of course it is. Just like, I mean, there are good people even in
but it's like
there's altruistic people, people in government out there. Like, there was a senator once that was like, if we, bring everyone together, eventually we can have peace in the galaxy. Like, I love democracy. Like, and there's people out there that all I want is order.
Fucking it. We're going. Moving on.
My view of your baby's development. A special section in the app allows
Yeah,
you
who
to watch
cares?
a time-lapse
Look at her, though.
video
She's, like, having some me time in the tub.
with your loved ones.
Flipping the bean, watching her baby, no stretch marks.
Don't be like
EctoLife growth pods feature internal speakers that play a wide
From his head.
Well, all that bass is fucking up. It's
Choose the playlist that your baby listens to.
really rattling around the soft spots there.
Directly sync
You can just...
with your voice before
Fucking TikTok Zoomers want to sing to their babies.
Provide you with an intelligent offspring that truly reflects your smart choices.
Okay, pause here real fast.
Oh yeah, that was.
See, now, like, to me at this point, talking about being evil, the very I'm done pretending. The very idea that I know that that's scary and disgusting to people, it's like, you want to create an intelligent offspring that reflects your intelligent choices or like whatever, and it's like, anyone mad about that should, like, I don't care. The mask is off. They need to be ground into a fine paste and fed to the rest of us so we can live. Like, just being like, yeah, whatever the argument for that is, which is funny because no matter how dumb everyone is, no matter how proud of being dumb they are, they'll never admit to it. It's like, you got to be the smartest person in the room, even if you're championing willful ignorance or whatever. So, like, that is such a sticking point, and I almost do wish we have, like, a second podcast where we just troll through the fucking comments on this thing. But,
we could always do a part 2. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah. Like,
Let's do that.
Let's see how it goes. Do we make it to the end? Who can say?
Yeah.
Like, there's this zero-sum, pointless,
Like,
low
again,
stakes.
we could be like Monster Factory. They have part 2s.
They do, and this is like Monster Factory. But I just love how it's like, that is nothing. Like, really, as someone who understands things pretty well, there's nothing wrong with that statement. It's like, you want a smart... Like, it's like, you don't want to be like, you two are both very smart, but you work a lot like an idiocracy at the university, so your kid gets all mixed up in gangs and watching TikTok or whatever and shoot someone at the mall or whatever. It's like, no, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to go like, we were both smart, and then it's like, we were so smart that our kid has a whole extra chromosome, and now we're stuck with that. No, you get to be like, yeah, and we're having another PhD, and this is just what we're going to do. And being certain...
How do you know that it's going to be certain? Because what about free will? And sometimes you're just born in evil shit, and then there's like... Yeah,
a lot of that's genetic, actually, and this actually fixes that. So, like, free will is a joke, by the way. Like, it is... Okay.
Yeah.
It is or isn't a thing. I'll say the one caveat is the way time works might make it so it kind of isn't. Also, you only have free will within your circumstances,
right.
And part of your circumstances are the constitution of your brain, and like, not only your environment. Let's just remove the environment from the conversation.
I was gonna say,
like oh well,
like they could be as smart as hell, but their environment is still crap.
Yeah,
like,
or you have two really smart parents, but you just have so much anxiety and ADHD and things chemically in your brain that it's like, because you just roll the 20-sided Dragon Ball Z or Dungeons and Dragons dice, and you're like, oh yeah, like you just ended up with all these genetic things that neither of your parents, for example, displayed or whatever. So it's like, you're not fit for the world that they even made. So like, you might even have a great environment that you can't take advantage of.
But here's the thing, you don't. Like, there are some
you
things
can fix
with the
that
mind,
with this.
There are some things with the mind that is genetic. Most depression is genetic.
Yeah. I'm saying it is genetic.
Is genetic, so you get it from your parents.
Yeah, and they can choose if it's recessive in them to keep it fucking recessive, because you get to pick like how your baby is.
You still grow up in an environment with parents that have ADHD, and then you just don't have it. I don't know. I just don't think.
No, they're saying that you get to have a baby that's actually like you. Like, if you're smart enough to use this thing, which, let's be fair, this isn't a big thing that a lot of fucking dimwits that, like, voted for Trump are gonna use, obviously. So it's like, okay, so, like, you're an upper middle class champagne liberal or whatever, and you want to make sure your kid never starts just, like, doing meth, driving around the countryside, and ends up on your mom's house or whatever. Like, okay, like, then you set it up so that doesn't happen. Like, they're basically telling you, it's like, hey, are you afraid?
There's some other factors. The world would have to be a lot fucking different. I don't know.
If everyone starts doing this, it literally would be.
Yeah, but
like, what else is there in the world that all that there is other people, and in one generation, like, who's corrupting your children? The squirrels? Like, it would just be like you'd be surrounded by other people. Oh, you're not sending your genetic pod baby to a school full of normies. Like, you're definitely, if you can afford this, they're all going to a private school where they, like, learn how to control the government and do finance or whatever. And it's like, all right. Cool.
Here's our goal. Let's try to get through this video before the end of the podcast.
I don't think that's possible.
And then we can do a part 2.
The video is almost 9 minutes long, and we only have 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
But all right, hit play.
3 minutes in.
We're doing great. Whoa.
EctoLife improves your bonding experience with your baby. Thanks to a 360
outside of your body, I doubt it. Ooh, cameras.
Growth pod. You can use your virtual reality headset to explore what it's like to be in your baby's
and to
place,
poke your baby's face and fuck with them.
And hear what they hear.
Why would you care? Like, I know what the inside of a tube looks like. Yeah, but they're all in the same thing.
John, you would be excited. Trust me.
Well, I would wear this thing. I want to feel my baby kick. Oh my god, everyone who's, like, so against, like, gender norms going away. It's like, the man can wear the pregnancy robot. I know that's just there to piss them off. Cool. This is nothing like the Matrix at all.
That's what I'm saying.
Through an artificial umbilical cord.
It feeds them other babies that didn't make it.
Yes! Soylent Green.
Well, it's green. Is it Soylent?
It's rich of vital hormones,
is it a scheme?
And antibodies that sustain your baby's growth and
hormones and growth factors. Your baby will be a fucking ripped Greek titan.
Each baby receives custom nutrients tailored to their needs.
Why does it need to be tailored? You make the baby how you want.
Tomorrow, this simple bedtime
hang on.
Can change your life.
Oh, there's...
You may not know this, but the biological
you put ice on your wrist and you stop being a big fat ass in a diaper. Yeah, eat all the burgers and donuts you want.
That looks like my breakfast, lunch, and dinner, baby.
I want to see see what happens.
A July 2022 study from UC.
Not if we fucking make you in a tube and then you can just eat burgers all day and your skeleton will glow like that.
Oh, all right.
All right, yeah, fine. Skip the ad. The ads for this are insane. That looks like the gun from the Babes in Toyland guy that would shrink people. It had the red and the green. Do you remember that?
No.
Old, weird live-action Disney movie. There's like a top hat guy with like a shrink gun. Those old live-action Disney movies are all Technicolor. They're fucking bonkers.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember it.
This way, the facility ensures a steady and sustainable supply of fresh nutrients to your baby.
Yeah, fine. You feed the babies. We don't care how. This video's too long. You paid someone like me to make the 3D world, and you're getting all the money out of it.
Prior to placing the fertilized
See, this is the thing.
your baby inside the growth pod, in vitro fertilization is used to create and select the most viable and genetically superior embryo, giving your baby.
Oh, really? The most genetically superior embryo? No, that's good. Like, you're allowed to just use your imagination if you think that means they're going to be white. See? Everyone's genetically superior.
Opportunity to genetically engineer the embryo before implanting it into the artificial womb.
This is where Gattaca comes in.
Yeah, well, good.
CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing tool.
Yeah, we have CRISPR right now. That number is fucking meaningless to me. It's like, wow, 300 genes to choose from, huh?
Customize your baby's eye color.
Like, well, how many genes go to the eye color? Like,
strength, height, and level of intelligence.
ooh, I picked short, fat, and dumb. Like, why wouldn't you just turn all the Monster Factory knobs all the way up?
Offspring will live a healthy, comfortable resources.
We're not going to mention what those are because some of you might think that those are cool to have. Yeah, look at him just get it out of there. But
say goodbye to the pain of childbirth and birth-related.
But that's an important part of it. See, it just feels like
You a safe, pain-free alternative that helps you deliver your baby without stress. The delivery
until you get the bill. Am I right? Oh, it's just a push of a button.
After discharging the
I had 6 episiotomies.
you will be able to easily remove.
I guess these young kids don't like having a giant asshole vagina thing that's one hole.
Partner can enjoy the delivery process.
You mean the emptying of a fucking pod?
The grabbing of your baby.
Our post
It'd be funny if it would grow like 3 of them all the way to term, and just at the very end you just pick your favorite. The other 2 just turn into goo to get fed to the others.
Diabolical.
That's from a condom commercial. That is the worst green screen I've seen in this whole thing so far.
Yeah, and why is he in like a fucking hazmat?
Yeah, why is he in one of those bands that was trying to be Slipknot back in like
What the hell?
2002?
Why do you need to be in that suit? Nuclear reactor over there?
Yeah. No, it's because he's in an industrial band and he's just like has to go to work before the show. It's like when you put your guy liner on at lunch and you have a gig that night. Look at those babies that aren't fucked up. Everyone's so happy.
And for those who want a more convenient solution,
Yeah! Convenient reproduction and birth. Doesn't that make you mad, regular people?
bioreactors and long-lasting batteries, you can use EctoLife growth pods at the comfort of your home.
Okay, do I have to wear a radiation suit all day then, or what?
Hey, that's a fucking good question.
No, they're just showing that guy because it looks cool.
You will have the ability to build a happy family, one baby at a time, away from any birth complications.
Instead of with 7 different dudes, some of which are in jail.
I was gonna say, like, how else would you do that?
The fucked up, screwy way.
Was designed by biotechnology.
Oh, here's our hero. He's gonna be bigger than
he's
Elon
not
Musk.
at all nefarious. Not one bit.
As soon as you put your own face in something, you know they're up to some shit.
Look
Like-
at him. Like, what is this?
Like, as we have discussed, I am an evil person, and it's like, even I'm smart enough to not be like, here's the man who made it possible, because you never trust that shit.
Worry no more, because
I'd just be like the shadowy fucking
EctoLife got you covered.
dummy corporation that, like, no one knows John Wheeler's even connected to is gonna make this possible.
EctoLife, reinventing evolution.
Man.
My fuck.
I just think it's great that the makers of Ecto Cooler are putting that money into something new. All right, hit the eyeball.
goodbye.
Okay, see? Okay, now it matters that we're blurry. Stop being blurry! I love how that's new also. That it's like that relatively... There you go. There's your... Oh, you have like cuts on your finger. Oh, you have like ET hands.
No, I don't. It's fine.
I know.
There's no cuts on my finger.
It looked like there's... Well, that camera had a magic
It was
EctoLife.
right up on my dirty nail.
Oh, maybe that was it. Yeah, no, it's a real bummer. Sometimes it goes away on its own. It might help if I smoke more. So, like, yeah, I will say that the as soon as I showed the guy, that is where I fell off maybe a little. Where I'm
Yeah,
like, what
you
the
have to rewatch
fuck are you up to? No, I think I probably only watched like the first half of it and was like, okay, let's do this thing, and I just didn't even pay attention to the rest of it. I'm like, I don't care. They go, your baby's gonna be fine. Like, oh, that'll make anybody buy anything. Who gives a shit? Man, though,
Can't handle this any longer.
I really
What
hate...
if we did that dance, like,
Hold on.
in the, the beginning?
Oh, the haka?
Yeah.
That dance. Come on. That dance. I don't know. Oh, right. So we've talked about this enough. It's time to read another page out of Dear Asshole, which has brought everything back into focus. Obviously, that was meant to be. Yeah, I don't care. Leave something in the comments, and then I'll either ignore it or respond to you with one thing, because I'll be like on the toilet at work and be like, oh, I should answer these. And I'm like, yeah, that's good. Do that, whoever.
I could answer them too, but I don't know. I gotta sign into our account.
No, you could also just answer them as you. That would actually help a lot if you would do that. So
Okay,
it'd seem
all
like
right.
other people are talking to each other, which would actually drive engagement. You know, there was someone who will remain nameless who used to be the old co-host of this, and I'd just be like, post anything as a response. Be like, I just don't know what to say. I'm like,
That's
just
a really
go
good
like, good
impression.
idea, John, anything.
That's a really good impression.
Put 3 dots. And then I'll go like, good point, blah, 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 for like a sentence. And then it'll be like, look at all the engagement from outside accounts. It was a good impression. Okay, so... all right. So here is this book. Speaking of eugenics, this is a book written by, like, it's supposed to be funny, and it's like, the weird thing is like, this is clearly like a same-sex couple of gals, but it just reads like the most red state Karen awful parking lot fight thing. Like, the first one was like bitching at a server, and it was racist. Like being like, oh, you're talking to the Jamaican dishwasher, which he can't own the business. He has to be the dishwasher. And he's like, you care more about cigarettes and dreadlocks than about getting me my muffin on time. But it's like not ironic. Like it's not a scathing thing making fun of the person saying the thing.
Yeah,
and
no,
I won't tell you exactly how we figured out. You'll have to go back and listen to like how it's not that, but we do get into it. I don't know if that makes me right, but I usually am, so I'm just going to take that as precedent. Anyway, so there's these letters you can tear out and give to the assholes in your life, which also, again, like, I can't say enough bad things about this book. Like, I'm like, again, like, if I'm gonna choose someone out, I'm gonna yell it in their face. I'm not gonna write a note, and I'm certainly not gonna use someone else's thing.
You know what I think is really great that we now have segments. That Dear Asshole is now a segment. I think that will make us more listenable.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I think, I don't know.
Nothing can change that now. Okay. But anyway, yeah, so we have a segment, and it's this thing my parents got me for Christmas as like a stocking stuffer. And that's the whole... Just go back and listen. I'm not going to re-dive into it every time. If you're not a regular listener, then I don't want to know you. All right. Dear asshole who had this library book before me. You're disgusting. You left crusty smears on the front cover, bite marks on the table of contents, and, dear God, did you wipe your ass with the prologue? I love how on top of being, like, weirdly elitist and whatever else, that it's just not funny.
Okay.
The whole book reeked of cigarettes and body odor, and on page 72, I could have sworn I smelled corned beef hash, which I enjoy. Was it absolutely vital for you to doodle dicks on every page margin? And why did you highlight that creepy passage about sacrificing chickens? Gosh, that's so funny. I can't possibly return the book to the librarians in this condition. Wait a minute, is this some sort of weird Fight Club thing where you did this to the book? And you're like, it was, yeah. No, that's a whole thing.
Oh, it's a whole thing.
Those judgmental bitches are going to think I did all of this. It's like, well, they wouldn't because they already had it before, and you're calling people that work at the library bitches.
Judgmental bitches? Like, oh my God.
Why are you going to the just listen to it on Audible or some shit?
Or
like,
get it on your, like, Nook or wherever the
yeah,
hell
get it in your nooks and crannies, you judgmental bitches. Yeah, I think it is you who are the judgmental bitches. What was that thing from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back? It is you who are the fuckers, or it was something.
I can't remember.
The cloud shoes. Something, yeah, I don't know. They were like gonna go fight everybody on the internet or whatever. The judgmental bitches will think I did this, yeah. I'm already on their shit list from the time I ripped that dust jacket. Thanks for nothing, asshole. Who do you give this to? So, okay.
You
like,
leave it in the book?
But it doesn't go back to the... Okay, so the restaurant server, yes.
Hey, you're right. How would you know who to give that to? You wouldn't. That is the stupidest...
And the asshole who stole my parking spot, you can put it in their windshield, but like... Which I think I read this one on my solo one last time, but maybe I didn't. You'll never know. There's like 500 pages in this, and I'm not gonna care. But like, yeah, okay. You can't give... Actually, let's take a look... Yeah, you could give it to them. I haven't been reading them because I want it to be a surprise. Yeah, you can't give it to the person who didn't flush the toilet. You could give it to your dentist, I guess. The person who keeps pushing the snooze button. What the fuck? Everyone does that. I renew my hatred for the people who wrote this book.
Well,
I think
sure it
that
will every time.
Perhaps, if after like several generations of German robotic eugenics matrix pod babies, we won't have a need for that book. And we also will not have the kind of people that will write it, because we will be living in some sort of... We will basically have terraformed the entire solar system. We'll be a Type 3 civilization that harnesses the power of the sun like the Borg. We'll probably be the Borg. And you know who that's a big problem for? Not the Borg, who's us, but for everyone else in the universe who the Borg fucks up. So you know what? I'm for this baby thing, because we're going to convert Jean-Luc Picard into a robot, and we're not going to have to read this fucking book anymore.
The Reverend John Wheeler podcast takes zero responsibility for the words, actions, or ideas of its host, guests, or listeners. Though the people on the screen may at times be speaking directly to you, and may occasionally give you direct calls to action, neither Reverend John nor the Alchemical Cocktail Lounge are under any moral or legal obligation to answer for the potentially disastrous repercussions that may arise if you are stupid enough to actually follow the orders of a raving lunatic. Think for yourself and do whatever you want, because you're on your own. If anyone ever tries to sue this podcast, black SUVs will converge on your location in the darkness of night, and you will never be seen again. Remember to like and subscribe.